So normally we do a pre-roll like as we have a conversation about like random bullshit, before the pod kicks off. But since Gabe signed a particular agreement, he can't discuss
a certain game that I have a pre-alpha for.
Yes, but he's excited. Let's just say that.
I'm excited, man. You could talk about it.
Because I don't know nothing about it, so of course I can talk about it.
It'll be fun.
All right, definitely. But until then, we'll be able to, I can't wait to actually be able to cover it because I'm actually looking into it myself.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I also downloaded Steep, the free game of the month.
Yeah, I saw that. How is it?
It's cool. I mean,
what's the premise?
It's you're just a snowboarder on fucking a big ass mountain, and you could go freestyle. It's kind of like Tony Hawk, so to speak, where it's like, oh, you could fucking become a pro and world famous athlete, or you could just fucking do it for the love of it, man. I forgot. I think it was Proving Ground that had that kind of decision.
That beach bum aesthetic.
Yeah, definitely. But it's cool. I mean, I'll probably not something I will dive a whole bunch of hours to. But I got back into Smite, and holy balls, dude! Have you seen some of these new skins they got dropping recently?
I have not booted up Smite in quite some time,
bro.
So no.
They got the tastiest skins in the world coming out this year's Odyssey. It is so good looking.
Yeah, man, might have to boot that shit up and get the whole round robin going again.
Oh yeah, I'm ready. But yeah, it's good stuff, man. You ready?
Born ready.
For the 100th time. What is going on, guys? Welcome to the Second City Kids Podcast, episode 100.
Man, I don't even know if I can count that high.
Yeah, right?
100. Damn, I got an extra fucking digit to put now.
Yeah, man, that's a big boy number right there. And man, we're glad you guys joined us this time around. And yeah, we'll get into the whole the schmoozy poozy, what's it called? I don't know what word I'm looking for, but like that emotional shit in a minute. But yeah, episode 100 is a decent little chilly 40-ish day on the south side of Chicago, Illinois. And for the 100th time, well, maybe not for Gabe, but I'm your host, Jacob. And with me, I have my buddy Gabe, who's probably been around for 97-ish episodes.
Probably like 80,
no,
85.
Probably more than that.
More than that, you think?
Because I think
the main ones.
I think we came around. You came around before we even hit double digits episodes. So, yeah, we're here for the 100th episode, and we're very excited to be with you guys and listen and all that good stuff. But yeah, man, like I said, episode 100. I would never imagine that we would have made it this far.
There was I think it was 2016 or 2017, or there was like a 6-month span where we just didn't run it.
I think it was 16.
Yeah, and then we got our shit together, bought some new equipment. And we made do with what we had, relocated a couple times.
Yep.
And now we're here. And, man, this last year we've just been plowing. I think we only missed, 2-3 weeks?
Yeah, 2 or 3 weeks. As far as both of us missing, has been episodes where you didn't show up, where I did random show either by myself, with my wife, or with my mom. But, yeah, man, I think we got 48 weeks done this new year.
Pretty productive, man. That's 4 days off this year.
Yeah, definitely. And, man, it's been a hell of a ride. And just some of the, like I said, when I created this podcast in September of 2015, I had no idea that
we'd make it this far,
that we'd still be doing it. And as we
4 years later
turn the page on 2019, who would have thought? Obviously, like you said, we took a little bit of a break. My daughter was born. Things happen. You had school. You were busy. All of us were busy. But man, the fact that we were able to come back to it and have I think some of the best conversations we've had right here on this show. So man.
You want to go over some of the better things we?
Well, I was thinking about, obviously we've talked about some of the greatest stories of all time, such as the steak, cheese, and sour cream.
Yeah, that one is on my list as well. Just the whole ridiculousness of it, and the fact that that story would not have been born without the alcohol involved. You know? And I just think that's the best premise of it. Because we know these guys, Adam and Bobby. Yeah. They're fairly reasonable when they're sober, but that totally tables are turned when alcohol is involved. Yes. I just love that. The wild cards in the Stiflers. Well, maybe not the Stiflers, but
definitely, man. That's a good one. I think probably the most comprehensive review discussion that we've had about a concert was the Under Oath show. We literally dedicated an hour-long episode to just talking about the experience that we had. That's a big one. We've documented many a Warped Tour on this show.
4 Warped Tours, I think 3.
Well, no, we missed 15, so 16. We did. We did an episode. It was a shitty one, but
last year's. So 2 Warped Tours, right? No, we documented 15s because we went 15.
We went, but it was already September by the time the show started. Yeah.
Yes.
So right. we did it. We've done a bunch of Warped Tours, including the last and final one, which was an emotional experience for me. What else, man? What other good shows have we?
We've covered a lot of movies. We've covered a lot of albums. We've covered a bunch of singles. I think when we dive into games, we have two very different perspectives. And one of the chats I liked was our Far Cry 5 before the game dropped.
The oversensitivity conversation.
Yeah, the oversensitivity conversation.
Yeah,
that kind of tied into like the World War II with Call of Duty and stuff. And so the whole gist of that was that people were getting upset that Far Cry 5 was like, you're killing Americans. And then, with Call of Duty is like, oh, they're hanging people. Well, welcome to the real world, man. Maybe your 12-year-old shouldn't be playing M-rated games. And, that's coming from maybe the old version of us.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's coming from the fact that a lot of these parents don't actually look at what their kids are buying.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of ignorance to that, but we talked about that in the episode. But
fun little tidbit. When I was buying it was either the Deception or Armageddon. The guy was reading off the M-rated things to my dad, and my dad was like, what do you say? And I was like, nothing. Because my dad doesn't speak very good English. I was like, oh, he's just saying, stuff about the game and cool stuff.
I feel you.
But, yeah, man, oversensitivity. That was a good conversation.
That was a great one.
Particularly in this year, I think we did a pretty solid review of two things that comes to mind. First of all, the Halloween movie.
Yes.
I think that, well, first of all, we're both kind of passionate about horror movies as a whole, and this franchise in particular. We're both kind of drawn towards it. And I think our review of the Halloween movie was, don't mind me tooting my own horn, but pretty good. And then the other one was Silent Planet's album review.
That's a good one.
I liked my Chelsea Grin album review. I think I probably put in more work than necessary, but I think I gave a comprehensive.
I think there's two classifications of reviews on this show. I think there's kind of that quick kind of narrative that we like, if it's a solo experience, like with me with God of War. Granted, I think that was one of my more comprehensive reviews, but like there's that kind of quick, maybe 10-15 minute block that we talk about it and then we move on. And then there's like the real full blown like that.
Like we both seen it, we both experienced it. Let's talk, compare notes.
And I think that's kind of the best thing about the show, because you and I scatter as far as like interests. Sometimes we scatter in different directions, and it allows us to kind of cover more ground that way. But the things that we unite on is like those are the big episodes.
That's the meat and potatoes.
Yes, sir. And I think I like how we've kind of come up with that system where like, oh, I'll cover this and you cover that. But when the big shit comes around, like for instance, one of the very first episodes you were on, maybe the first 5, was the Star Wars review.
For episode 7?
Yeah, for 7. 7 was, think about it. Within the span of this podcast, we've saw the reemergence of Star Wars and quote unquote the downfall, as far as people say it,
Star Wars.
Of Star
Wars. It's like all of 3 years to fuck it up.
Weird, but we've covered all that. What else have we covered?
We've covered, I believe, 3 Star Wars movies. Well, minus Solo, obviously, because neither of us have touched it with a 10-foot pole yet.
Yeah.
We've covered Under Oath's Return. We've covered, Thank You Goodnight by Vanna.
Yeah. Oh, that was a good one.
We've seen a lot of new bands emerge. We've seen a lot of old bands call it quits.
Yep.
We've seen some bands like Architects 3 years ago would have, they're playing at the Bottom Lounge.
Yeah.
And now they're selling out venues. Well, granted they're more popular in Europe, but they're selling out venues like the Aragon over here.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure they're only going to get bigger. And
we've seen when this podcast started, Bring Me the Horizon was still a metalcore band. Think about that.
Man, that just sent chills down my spine.
Yeah.
Man. I think they might have just transitioned.
The second episode was about That's the Spirit of this podcast.
Yeah, man. We've covered some ground here and there. Lots of good life stuff.
Yeah.
I finished my undergrad. You got married, had a kid, bought a house, got a dog.
Yeah.
Adam popped 2 out.
2. Yeah. I've lost my grand. You lost a couple cousins. I know that. I lost my grandpa. A lot of big stuff. A lot of life changes. And man, like I said, it's crazy to think that we've come this far. Because how old were you when we started the show? 2015. How old were you?
Oh man, how old was I?
That was 3 years ago at this point. 3
years ago, I was 19.
Wow.
And I was like, probably 19 September. I was turning 19 if we started early September.
Yeah. Wow. And how was I? That was 22.
Yeah.
Damn.
You were my age.
Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, man, like I said, it's been a hell of a ride and it's been great. And,
any other memorable conversations?
Let me think.
Topics?
I'm trying to, because I know I
liked our Architects talk and the ABR talk because, the ABR talk we kind of had a lot of contrast in there because you were more accepting of the whole movement, and that ended up being my album of the year 2017 because I didn't discover Polaris until early 2018.
Yeah.
And then when we talked Architects, we kind of had the same vibe.
Yeah.
And I thought that was an interesting transition for you because this is a band you've kept up with since what? Like the day in, day out eras?
Before then.
Before Sam.
Hollow Crown. No, Hollow
Okay,
Crown.
so right as Sam
Right,
got
yeah.
in.
Yeah, Hollow Crown.
Yeah, man, and like we said back then, they bottom lounge.
Yeah.
Now it's sold out Aragon.
Or opening at like the House of Blues opening, because that's the first time I saw them live was when I think that was the first time I saw them live. They opened up for
Animals as Leaders.
No, they opened up for Atreyu. They opened up for Atreyu.
Wow, now I'd argue that they're bigger than Atreyu.
Yeah, I think that there's some argument to be had there.
Like year span wise, but at the moment,
Yeah.
they're like forefront of the metalcore community.
Yeah, leaders definitely. But man, what else? Like, because we've had some good shit. Like, and obviously there was the dark days when you and I were sharing a snowball microphone in my kitchen. As far as like quality wise,
Yeah, man, we made it work though. We definitely made it work.
Those are, I guess, I kind of consider those the dark days.
We totally forgot one. The episode where we wrote a better Star Wars movie.
Well, yeah, we've had that's a big one. Because you and I went like an hour about just like speculation
Theories.
Yeah, that's when the first trailer dropped for 8. Yeah, that's crazy. I have I think the Bears have won more games this season than they won every other season prior to running the show. Yeah, man, there's been a lot of good stuff on the show, and we've had a good time. But as far as me as the show goes on, I'll remember some more stuff that we could talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe we should make a little supercut of all the little talks and chats we covered and shit like that, and just throw it out there.
That's something that I've been wanting to do. I haven't really found the time to be able to cut up some old episodes and kind of throw it up on YouTube, because we do automatically load up to YouTube now. I don't know if you know that. The show goes straight from Podbean to the YouTube, so that's kind of cool. Yeah, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, man, let's kind of get started.
Happy New Year.
Yes, sir.
Did you do anything special?
I worked. Well, here's the deal. They had me work, and luckily the Twilight store closed at 8. Because usually it goes to like 10:30. Okay. But they didn't have any work, and they were trying to make it like, so people could get out and do shit. And for the people who live in shitty neighborhoods, they can get home safely. Because obviously after the New Year's, people get stupid. By the time I got home, I'm like, you know what? I just want to sit home and do nothing. So
let me tell you this about FedEx, and I'm not like endorsing him. I don't work for him. I'm not sponsored by him or anything like that. But this year, every shipping service has disappointed me in one way or another. UPS, obviously, we work there. We know how it is. Yeah. And I'm not going to go into further detail, but if you've ever shipped UPS more than one time, you know how it could be sometimes.
You probably had a bad experience,
USPS, man, they've been good to me. To my girlfriend, they've been like hit or miss, bro. They'll be like, oh, an attempt was made. And I was like, no, clearly there was no attempt made. Yeah. And then FedEx has yet to disappoint me this year. Really? Because, all right, hear me out, right? I don't, when I buy stuff, it's not usually shipped via FedEx unless that's like their preferred option or their only option, right? Yeah. It's just the fact of the matter for some of the stuff I buy. Yeah. Everything I've bought through there has been delivered early. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, these guys are efficient. Yeah. So shout out to you and your boys in Perp. Yeah. Yeah, man, a lot of shit has changed. Let's think about that. Think about it this way. You went through 3 shipping companies. I did. Yeah. In the span of this podcast. And how many promotions is that? I jumped to Amazon, so I guess you consider that a move. Oh, okay, how many moves I've made? If I started at UPS. So that's 1. Amazon is 2. FedEx. FedEx part-time. FedEx full-time. 4. And now Operation Training Special, which is what I am now. So 3 lateral and 2 promotions for you. Yeah. And I've made, what? Well, one lateral move. Then I adopted another job. Mm-hmm. I got promoted from that job from a tutor to a graduate assistant. Mm-hmm. And then it's a move, but it was a move up towards my full-time job now as a software dev. But yeah, weird. Man, good shit. Yeah, there's a lot of ground, and I hope we could revisit these podcasts and just reflect on who we were. That's what I told you. I think I texted you in that. I'm like, it's kind of weird to see like when you go back to older episodes. You know what? When you said that, it was funny because I just picked kind of one of the earlier episodes. I think it was like in the 40s or something. I just listened to it, and I was like, I'm probably not going to find our own podcast that interesting, but I was like enthralled, man. I was like in there. I was like absorbed. I was like, wow, this is really me. I'm really in this bitch right now. You know? And I was like, wow, okay. Yeah, it's some things that I think is interesting because the whole point of the show was that the conversations you and I would have on PlayStation Plus or like in like are recorded, yeah, when or not even that, but like when like you and I would sit like when we were drinking and hanging out here, that we would just have funny conversations that we would laugh or whatever. That kind of spawned the whole podcast. That's where the podcast came from. Originally, it was me and Adam because me and Adam kind of had the same kind of deal, obviously. And Adam's got busy. It is what it is. But as time went on,
that was like the whole point. Is like, you know what? Like some of these conversations I have with my friends, I would like to relive them one day, right?
Good copy. So you brought me in because you and I used to have some good
yes.
chats.
There was times where I sat on S18 and you and I would just bullshit for hours on end, just talking about random shit.
JD Nosner.
Yeah, there was a time, and then that's where this whole thing came from. And either Chris Forreston, he was somebody I wanted to get on the show early, but he never had a chance to get on because him and I kind of had that same kind of vibe where we just talk for hours about.
Yeah, we should rekindle with him and see
definitely.
where it goes.
Yeah, definitely. But so yeah, that's kind of where the whole podcast came from. But with that, man, we're about 20 minutes in, 15 minutes in, and
we're just reminiscing.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about
it
this
is
year.
2019. It is January 5th today? 6th. January 6th today. So we're 6 days into the new year. And so we started doing year-end reviews, 2016?
Yeah, the start of 2016.
And so this has kind of become a tradition for us, and I know it's a staple for a lot of podcasts, especially covering music. Like I know State of the Scene does theirs, and they're really good at it. Mm-hmm. But we're a bit more broader. We cover gaming, movies, and general shittery in between.
Yes.
So this is mainly going to be comprised of our year in review stuff.
Yep.
So talk to me. What do we got first?
All right. So first up is activity. All right. We're gonna do activity first. And this was a very vague thing that you put on the thing originally on the docket. So,
you know what's funny? I totally forgot I put those, and then I was looking through it before I came over, like the agenda, and I was like, "What the fuck does he mean?" And I scroll all the way down, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I put that."
Yeah, activity. So I think I have an idea what yours is, even though it is wrapped up in a concert, because I know you said no shows was kind of part of the whole thing. Okay. But I imagine your whole Buffalo trip was probably the biggest. No? Really?
No, actually, activity-wise, I had a lot of fun at the escape rooms we did this year.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And I left it purposefully vague because you could fill in with whatever you want. And I feel like out of these, I did a lot of ice skating this year, which I thoroughly enjoy, but it's relatively the same experience every time. The only thing that's going to differ is how you're feeling on the ice that day and whoever you go with, or the rink too, I guess, right?
Yeah.
But early in the year, like April-ish, we mentioned that we're going to go out of our comfort zones, and you and I did 2 together.
Yes.
And then I did 1 solo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
fun.
It's a bit of an expensive hobby.
Yes, definitely.
It really is. And this, if we were still single and you didn't have a mortgage and it was a bit different, then I'm sure we'd be going to one like every other weekend.
Yes, for sure.
But times are different, and now it's kind of you got to plan for it like a month in advance.
Yeah.
You got to make sure it's in the budget and all that good stuff. But kind of going into it, we didn't know what to expect. We kind of knew the concept of it and stuff. And that first one we covered. I remember listening to the review we did, how we walked in and it was kind of underwhelming, and then we got to the nitty gritty of it, and
you just kind of ignored kind of the I don't want to say the ghetto-ness of it, but like that low budget kind of a vibe.
Honestly, like
you got immersed.
Yeah, when you went into it, it was it did feel kind of low budget, and you're like, okay, I could probably solve this in 15 minutes, but then
took a little work.
Yeah, it took a little work, and shit was a poppin', as some would say, and like I said, I don't like giving out spoilers for these things because it's definitely something you should experience yourself. And we do recommend, was it Just Escape?
Just Escape.
Just Escape in LaGrange. That was the first one we did.
Yep. And the second one was called what? I forgot the second one. I'm sorry.
The one in Orland?
Yes.
Or Orland Escape Rooms or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Orland Escape. Escapology. That's what it was.
Yep, Escapology. Yep.
And both of them had a very different tone to them.
Yes.
But we come from the same kind of generation where we grew up on a lot of Scooby-Doo, where we grew up on like CSI and like Criminal Minds. And granted, we're not chasing a murderer or a monster in this instance. It was still kind of fun living that because I feel like we're in the same situation here, where you and I are the Sherlocks, and then our significant others are the Watsons. Like the boy wonder and the shit like that. Not to not give them credit or anything, but you and I went into this thing headstrong, and we kind of delved right into it, and you knew what was clues and I knew what were clues, and we just kind of felt it. We constructed the puzzle, we constructed the borders.
I think that Sherlock Watson thing is a great idea, because I feel like you and I get overly ambitious with what the clue is trying to mean, and our significant others are like,
they bring us back down to the ground.
Like,
we're probably idea people.
Yeah, probably not that, but something along that lines, and that's what they kind of draw us back in, like you said, bring us back down to earth.
Yeah, man, that's how it is, and it's they're very well grounded, and like I said, you and I are both big picture people.
Yeah.
And they're like, in the moment, what do we do right now to solve this? And
we
I
need to
think
get this done so we can get because you and I, like you said, a lot of those big clues, the ones that come to like near the end, you and I spotted right away. But as far as like getting the obstacle in front of us done, or my wife's like, your girl are like, we need a key for this thing to get this thing over right now. So yeah, I think that's a very good observation in that regard. But yeah, that was a ton of fun. Honestly, I think the most fun we had as a group, as far as like all of us, was the reemerge of board night. I mean, board game night. I know we haven't really gotten crazy, but I'm glad that we brought that back a little bit. And we went bowling, and I had tons of fun bowling with you guys.
I forgot we went bowling.
Yeah.
That was right after the escape room.
Yes,
right?
sir. We were bored, and we're like, well, we got some time to burn. And I know.
Man, we should go bowling again.
Yes, I'm down. We should go to fucking Rosemont and go to that fucking bowling joint.
I like the Orland one, man, because they got that. I swear it was a raspberry cider originally.
Yeah.
Or no, it was a blackberry cider.
Blackberry, yep.
And then the last time we went, it was black cherry cider.
Ooh.
But both were fucking phenomenal, man. That shit was, like $16 a pitcher? But, dude, that went down super smooth.
Super smooth.
I remember getting in the car as a passenger, and I was like, oh, fuck, I'm glad I didn't drive.
Definitely. So I think that wraps up the activities, because we didn't really do a whole. I mean, I didn't. I know you went bar hopping literally this year from bar to bar, trying out different joints and stuff like that.
Yeah. For the escapade.
Yeah.
So I would say that's my runner up.
Okay.
So as you all know, I'm a big advocate for Blue Nose Brewery, which is right around the corner from us, and they had it was all of Illinois.
Yeah.
They had a bunch of participating breweries, and they had like a little passport thing. You go in, you try a brew, get a sticker, get it signed, and get sent off.
Yep.
And you get something if you hit, I think, like 40 breweries before the end of the summer. Send it in, you get an invitational to like the big Illinois brew thing, where like they bring out shit that's made once or twice a year.
Yeah.
And like a more exclusive Goose Island, essentially.
Nice.
That was fun. We didn't finish it, but I like the idea of it. You know? It was
definitely.
If it comes back around this summer, I'll definitely do it again, and we'll put a little more effort towards it.
A scavenger hunt of beer, so to speak.
Yeah, a scavenger hunt for your tongue.
Yeah.
And we hit, obviously, Blue Nose was the first stop. We hit like 3 breweries in Lombard, man.
Yeah.
That shit was titties.
Very cool. No, like this is a smaller thing, but like, obviously being married and having a kid and stuff, I don't really get the chance to go out as much as I used to, right?
Yeah.
One of my favorite kind of nights that I had was with my wife, was after I got promoted full time. This is probably right after the new year. Yeah, it had to be. And her and I went to Rosemont and went to Fogo de Chao. And
chowed down.
Yeah, just hung out.
Got the meat sweats.
And you don't really get the opportunity. I mean, like I said, me personally, you really don't get the opportunity to do that anymore, because we have the little girl, and she's a blessing, and we love her to death. But sometimes
blessing and a curse.
Yeah, sometimes it's nice to have that space. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
So that was probably one of the more fun things I had. But yeah, man, as far as activity, I think that's a.
So I'm just hoping that going into 2019. That we do cover some more escape rooms.
Yes, that'd be a thing.
Because we did have a strong start. We did the 2, like, I swear it was like 3 weeks apart or something. It was pretty close.
Yes.
And then we just kind of trailed off.
Yeah.
But there are a couple on my list that I want to hit.
Okay.
And we will do a spoiler-free review on those as soon as we get to them.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be part of the agenda for next year.
I'm curious to see if we're going to hit one that we don't finish.
Because we had a perfect record so far.
Because the first one we actually came really close to beating their quarterly record.
Yeah.
We were a few minutes off.
Yes.
And then the second one, we finished, but some of the clues were just fucking stupid.
Yeah, definitely.
Moving on.
Yeah.
What is next?
So next up, we're in the movie genre, right?
The movie of the year. Okay. I know what both our movies of the year are going to be.
Okay.
And I mentioned it previously. It's going to be Halloween.
Okay. Yeah.
And is it yours? Yeah.
It's right there. If not, honest to God, I mean, I know I saw it technically this year, but Wreck-It Ralph was pretty fucking good, dude.
Copy that.
Incredibles 2 was pretty close, runner up.
I didn't like Incredibles 2 that much, man.
Really?
The first one's definitely better for me.
Really?
And I just think 2 had some big thematic issues.
Okay.
It was solid.
Yeah.
But you know me, I like to analyze and see how everything links up with one another.
Definitely.
And I don't know, man. I feel like the Mole Man fight was kind of rushed and it was dumb.
I feel you. But Halloween would probably be. Yeah.
And this kind of, I don't want to say it won by a landslide, but it did win by a landslide.
Yeah. It was pretty obvious.
It was, honestly, I'd argue that this is probably one of the best movies I've seen. Because it is the perfect sequel. It is The Empire Strikes Back.
Ooh.
It really is, though.
High praise.
The only thing they could do to it to ruin it is to make a garbage number 3, which I hope they don't do, because it left off at a really good spot. And that's just my opinion of it now. And I hyped up Danny McBride the moment I knew. I was like, that's my boy. That's, he could do it. And you're like, I don't know, man. He's Pineapple Express. Shit. But Halloween received a lot of praise because, like I said prior, this is a franchise we both follow. This is a franchise we both kind of grew up with and we both kind of love. The Man in the Mask, Michael Myers. I mean, what is there to be said about it? There's a lot of thematic stuff. There's a lot of callbacks.
I think it was the best experience I had at a movie theater. Because I think kind of having that intro play out the way it did, and then when it kicks into the theme song, it sends chills down your spine.
And the intro cards are so beautiful because it still had that like 80s graininess and
kind of that glow, that weird glow that it has to it. Yeah, it was good.
That was excellent.
Yeah.
And we have the full review up. You just got to look through it. It's labeled Halloween review.
It's literally, it
was the whole Halloween hype train for a bit there.
Yep.
Check that out if you want to listen to it. But I think that one won. So I do have 2 runner-ups.
Okay.
And because I went into this knowing that Halloween's going to win, and we did a whole review of it, 2 movies I have as runner-ups.
Okay.
Neither of which I covered, actually. One of them, which I mentioned to you, number 2 is Blind Spotting.
Okay.
So Blind Spotting is about a dude. They're both in Cali, Compton area. Something like that, and this dude is on his last 3 days of probation for beating the living fuck out of someone, right? And so he has this very tight schedule. He lives in like those like boarding homes where you got to be home by a certain time, blah, blah. And his best friend is like ghetto white dude, just gets him into all sorts of fucking shenanigans. Mm-hmm. And it's labeled as a comedy, but it is a funny movie. But there's a lot of like really heavy stuff in there, and I feel like growing up in some of the grittiness that we did, that Southside scum. I feel like it's a movie that you would especially appreciate. Mm-hmm. And this is a movie about kind of realizing your weak spots, thus the title Blind Spotting.
Okay.
I think it was a really well done film, and I think it was beautiful. And the resolution was just great. I like that. And then my number 3, totally out of left field, Mamma Mia 2. Hear me out, right? Okay, my girlfriend loves the Mamma Mia movies.
Why?
I don't know. So she made me watch the first one. It was okay. I like ABBA. ABBA's fun. The first movie didn't really stick out to me. I was like, all right.
Took a chance on me. Oh,
yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
And I was like, yeah, it was all right. I didn't particularly love it. And then she was like, can we watch, the second one when it comes on? I was like, yeah, sure. The second one is also a very good sequel. But here's the thing, right? It works as an excellent standalone movie. You didn't need to watch the first one. And I feel like I could relate to the themes a lot better with the second one because the Meryl Streep, the girl's mother, dies, and she was a big part of the first movie. And in the second movie, the girl's trying to live up to her legacy and kind of fulfill her dream. And I don't know, man, some of that shit just hit me in the right ways. And I love like Colin Firth. He's one of my favorite actors. And the movie was just great, funny. Like I said, you can't get enough ABBA. Cher was in there, bro. You can't go wrong with Cher.
Hey, man.
And
teach it around.
You know what? I just think it was a solid movie all the way around. Not my number 1 because Halloween.
Yeah.
I think that this movie took me by surprise. And I was like, wow, this is really good. That is my number 3, Mamma Mia 2. Like I said, totally out of left field. Totally ridiculous. But I promise you, if you watch it, you're going to be like, wow, this is, aside from the whole ridiculousness of ABBA and the dancing and the singing, it's a pretty solid movie all the way through.
All right, so I have some honorable mentions as well. Like I said, I did not see nearly as many movies as Gabe did this year, as I mentioned prior. But
Avengers is your number 2.
Well, no, actually, my number 2 is Wreck-It Ralph. Ralph Breaks the Internet. I got the chance to watch this the other night, and since I haven't talked about it at all, being that I just saw it, let me do a quick little review since we got all the time in the world. So Wreck-It Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet, is a cute little follow-up to the original Wreck-It Ralph. It's less video game centric. I think that's obvious. They focus more about kind of making fun of the internet, right? That's obviously part of the point. The original, like I said, Wreck-It Ralph was more about making fun of the 80s arcadey kind of vibe, and they had the kind of cameos and stuff that make you laugh. This one was more about kind of making fun of, like I said, society as a whole in regards to the internet. And it was a wonderful little story between, and I connect like this because I'm a dad, about a guy and this little girl, right? And they're best friends. And my daughter's my best friend. I'm not going to lie to you. My daughter's my best friend. So, and kind of about how as time goes on, eventually friendships separate. And when friendships separate, that kind of determines the value of them. Because if you're able to come back together like nothing's changed, that's the mark of a true friendship, I think, right? And that's kind of the whole theming of this, is because one person's being pulled one direction, the other person's being pulled another. And just because best friends don't live the same lives doesn't mean they can't be best friends. and it was talking about how them kind of moving on and growing up and moving away from each other in that kind of regard. And it was a wonderful little story. Made me cry.
Revisit it in 10 years and
do
a follow-up review.
Yeah, definitely.
You have a number 3 by any chance?
I do.
Avengers?
Yes.
Nice.
Because it was again, that was kind of another big movie experience that it was a good
Truly
good movie.
cinematic.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, and this is a culmination of 10 years of bullshit that we've been digging through. You less so recently, but we're not gonna get into that. I think as far as like the headlines for this podcast is this year, I think the first one for you would be Gabe hops off superhero
conductor stopped this fucking Marvel train.
Yeah, Gabe has gone very anti-superhero movie.
I told you, man, I hopped off the Star Wars train too.
Yeah,
I think we're both off that one.
Yeah,
and
there's some stuff in there.
There's some worrisome future for Disney because I know their copyright on the mouse expires soon too.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have all these company making all the brand. Well, it's gonna be Mickey Mouse, but it's not gonna be a Disney Mickey Mouse. You know what I'm saying?
They're not gonna lose him. They won't lose him.
It's 90 years, bro.
They won't lose him.
We will see.
Yeah, they won't lose him. But
we will see.
So that Avengers, like I said, it was kind of a movie experience. And granted, how do you feel about it? It was fun. I had a good time in the movie.
Good copy, sir.
All right, so
let's dive into gaming.
Yeah, so let me, because I already know. You know, I know, we all know what my game of the year is, because I did a pretty comprehensive review of that, if I say so myself.
So we covered some God of War talk.
Yes.
And this is Jacob's game of the year.
Yes.
Notice how I say Jacob's.
Yeah.
And so I think the big thing to take away from Santa Monica Studios, well, there's two big things. First of all, is that if you treat a game series with respect, you give it time to be missed, you give it time to grow. They brought back God of War as a mature version. It's not the hack and slash that we all knew on the PS2 and PS3. Kratos has cooled off a bit.
Yes.
A bit. Just a slight tad. He has a kid.
Yes.
And the gameplay has grown along with Kratos and ourselves. And it is a completely different game. It's no longer the hack and slash. It's more tactical. Plays something like I don't want to quite say Dark Souls, but it has that vibe.
In that ballpark.
Where you gotta be aware of your surroundings, and you always gotta be on patrol. Type of shit.
Definitely.
So give me some comments about your game of the year, sir.
So like I said, once I played it, I knew that it was going to be it. It's very hard to beat a game that I think was pretty close to fucking perfect. I appreciate the restraint from Santa Monica Studios to not make the locked part of the game's DLC. I think it would have been very easy to do that, considering
that was my second point. Yes, it is proven by Santa Monica that you can make a great first-player game, one-player game, story-driven, with no DLC.
Yep. And there's some replayability there. Obviously, if you want to dig through everything, you can. I still haven't beat the fucking Valkyries because they're really fucking hard. Yeah, man. What can I say? It was a great game. And the more I think about it, the more I like it, kind of a deal. Great story. The story was absolutely beautifully written. And I saw some criticism about that. People were like, well, I didn't really connect to it. It's like, well, are you a parent? And a lot of the time, the answer is no. And I'm like, well, that's I think probably why.
I think a lot of the criticism comes in with the mentality of the old God of War.
That's probably it.
And, the story is not perfect, but it is pretty damn near perfect. Yeah. You know? And I think the twist and the turn that they took at the end was great. It sets up the next one perfectly. Yeah. Because we, as, the audience, realize how this works in retrospect to Norse mythology and how it's going to set up the next game.
Yep. So I think that was it was a great game, and they did a great job. I think it'd probably make my top 10 list of greatest games of all time.
Ooh, good copy. Right up there with Last of Us.
It's up there. It's going to be very hard to beat that, and we'll see part 2. But so that's my game of the year. Now, when we did this prior, it didn't necessarily have to be the game that came out this year. It means it could be the game that dominated your year, your game of the year. I have an idea what yours is.
Fire away.
As far as that goes, I think Siege would probably be your game of the year. As far as like your,
I love Rainbow Six. We talk a lot about Ubisoft
extensively,
and their highlights and their downfalls and all that good stuff. I did put a lot of time into Siege this year. Yeah. As you know, I transitioned from console to PC. Uh-huh. I have like 150 hours on PC now.
Wow.
And the short span of when did I build the first setup? I like July to now, 150 hours. It's not crazy, but it's a bit of time.
Yeah.
It is not my game of the year.
Really?
It is easily the game I've put the most time into, and I've definitely learned a lot about myself and my comrades. And now we have a full 5 stack. Mm-hmm. We've met like a bunch of randos and stuff, so it's no issue getting like 4 people on deck. But my game of the year is a game I did a review on recently. My game of the year is Subnautica.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. This is kind of. I'm gonna compare this to bands, right? When God of War came out, I had high expectations because this is somebody like ABR Architects. This is a big band releasing a big new album. You know it's going to be good, and you know it's going to be quality. And God of War is my runner-up. You know, it is a solid game, great story, looks great, and a lot of good practices shown by Santa Monica Studios.
Yes.
However, Subnautica is that like little local band you discover where you're like, wow, these guys fucking grind and pop and shred. And
you know what it is to me?
what is it?
It is this modern or this newest form of Minecraft. You look at it, it maybe not be the most appealing looking. I mean, it looks good. Don't get me wrong, but something you're like, oh, it's not for me. But once you kind of watch,
And you get drawn in.
yeah, once you kind of watch the gameplay, and once you kind of like, man,
So talk to me. You said you did a bit of research on this game, right?
yeah, I've been watching some playthroughs of it, and
Don't get too deep, man. The fun of it is experiencing yourself.
Yeah, definitely. But I'm like, I kind of like that collecting resources and kind of keeping your head on a swivel when you're in the middle of the ocean kind of vibe. I like that. And like, it's not necessarily a survival horror game, but there is a holy shit.
It's terror. It's not horror.
Yeah, it's a there's that holy shit moment in the game where you kind of jump and take a seat back. And like I said, I've been watching playthroughs, and I've seen guys like, oh fuck, like, you know what I mean, as far as encountering some of the creatures, and I'm sure I haven't even seen the scariest ones yet. So yeah, man. I mean, to me, I look at it and I watch it the same way I used to watch Minecraft when it was coming up.
So entrancing, right?
Yeah, you're just like, wow, that's kind of intriguing and interesting. So,
And I think my point still holds true. There's rules in each biome, and they follow that rule to a T.
mm-hmm.
And it's just an alien planet, and it's like, it feels what's the like common enough where you kind of get a feeling like, oh yeah, you know, but it still feels alien, like super alien. And
Yeah.
I think they did a really good job with that. And here's my biggest thing, right? This game is an excellent time killer, and I've mentioned it before. God of War was a great game, and you know, like you said, you still quite haven't revisited it yet.
Yeah.
Maybe next year, maybe the year after.
Yeah.
You know, maybe before the next one comes out. Subnautica, though, man, you could just, if you're looking for like a relaxing experience, or you know, you want to get in there in the nitty gritty, fucking plug it in and play some shit.
Yeah.
Because it is entrancing. They announced DLC recently, and honestly, dude, this game, I didn't think it'd grab me by the balls like that. I honestly didn't. I was like, it's
this was
free.
like a week and a half of you being like, oh yeah, this game looks
Maybe like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
This
this
was
game-
like before Buffalo, right?
Yeah, you're like, oh, this game's fun, and the next thing you know, you're like, oh man.
well, yeah, because you know, I kind of went into it like, oh, you know, I'll play it for a couple hours. It was free, you know, but now I'd gladly pay the $20 for it.
Yeah.
It's an excellent game, and I think you should definitely at least check it out if it comes to PS4.
And now here's another thing that we talked about when we really got into Smite. A game's price tag does not determine its value, right?
No.
So when I played Smite, probably one of my favorite games of all time at this point. That
Up there with The Last of Us.
Well, it's free, right?
Yeah, free to download.
Yeah.
And then if you want everybody, it's $30, which is no commitment.
This is an absolute fucking steal. I'll say that's probably the most value I've spent on any amount of DLC ever.
I measure it in how many hours I'm going to put into it.
Yeah.
So if you put in 30 hours for the $30 founder pack, that's $1 per hour. That's still cheaper than a movie.
Well, here, think about it this way. I mean, because the game comes with, you know, I think 5 base characters, and they have the free rotation god, right? The free god in the free rotation.
Yeah, so you get 6 or 7 to choose from right off the bat.
Yeah. So they have that. But my thing is, like, there's hundreds of gods at this point. They are hitting their 100 god mark with King Arthur. King Arthur's going to be the
Sweet.
Merlin is 99. Merlin, and then King Arthur is going to be
my boy.
100. Yeah. So
Well, even then, I didn't buy the founders pack.
mm-hmm.
I only spent like $2 on the game when I really, really, really wanted the last chest for something.
Yeah.
And I've unlocked all the gods with what is it, the renown?
Favor.
With favor.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, granted, it took some time and there was that learning curve, but once you get that curve down, man, you should have enough for like a god.
So that's what I'm putting Subnautica in that same category, because it's 20, 25, $20, whatever it is, retail. That does not determine the value of the game.
Definitely not.
Because there's games I spent $60 on. I'm just like, pass. Like
Black Ops 4.
Well,
World War II.
Well, yeah, yes and no. I played a lot of it. I put some time into it, so I'm not gonna knock it necessarily. But I'm thinking something along the lines of like, which is gonna come kind of the next conversation after this is like Dragon Ball Z. I bought it. I played it for a week, and I'm like, Not
told
for,
you.
Yeah, not for me.
I told you. I know many people love it, but I just don't think it's a good fighting game.
Yep. I mean,
It may be a good Dragon Ball Z game, but then again, I've played better. I like the old mechanics in some of the Dragon Ball Zs, but this kind of doesn't fall in either category for me.
I'd agree. But so yeah, like I said, God of War, and as far as you said, Subnautica is your number one. As far as my time spent, I think Siege is number one.
Yes.
I think.
Looking forward to the new season.
Yes.
And I'm gonna hop on the season, the year 4 pass.
Yep, me too.
And the only thing I want, and it doesn't have to be crazy over I just want another Polish operator, or at least a Polish map.
Says the guy who already got 2 Polish ops, and we haven't got Mexican ops yet, but we're not gonna get into that.
Yeah, you're right. We do need Mexican ops.
We don't even have Mexican ops yet.
Let me get like some cartel boys up.
Let
me get the 2 brothers from Breaking Bad. Let me get Nicky's cousins.
Right? That's funny, but
no, there's still a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah.
It's just that I feel like a lot of these CTUs and nationalities are getting rounded up. Like, we have 5 or 6 British operators now.
Yeah, well, they came as base. The British ops.
No,
base,
yeah, absolutely. I'm just saying, maybe fill in some gaps here and there.
Yeah, I don't think
definitely use some more Italian ops, but you got to give it some time to rest before you.
I don't think we need any more American ops. I think we can.
No,
do
definitely
without.
not.
Yeah.
American and British ops, we need to rest. We need to hit the East some more.
Yeah.
Let me get another Japanese or Korean op.
Yeah.
Like I said, I want the Polish ops because Ella and Zofia are kind of mirrors of each other in a sense. I want some crazy, unique dude with like a pig that'll like hunt you down. No, that's totally out of left field.
Okay.
But I just wanted to fill in some gaps here. And
now we know why Gabe doesn't work at Ubisoft.
I'm too wild.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't speak French well.
No, definitely not. But so yeah. But moving on, so I want to kind of talk about kind of the things that kind of I think are changing the face of gaming, right?
Sure.
So one of the bigger stories that came out in regards to gaming this year was the fact that not only was PlayStation not doing their experience this year, that they're not coming to E3. And I think it's kind of a unique strategy because a lot of people are speculating, including you and I, when we did the show. They're not gonna. The next time we hear from PlayStation, as far as like a press conference,
we're gonna get the teaser for the PS5.
It's gonna be the PS5, yeah. And now I think it's kind of put the whole gaming world on the heels because now I think Xbox is kind of looking at themselves and being like, I don't know. So I think it's interesting. I think that's a big
some
story.
big dick energy.
Yeah, that's.
We're gonna leave that saying in 2018 as well. By the way,
good, yeah, good. But so I think that was kind of one of the bigger stories and one of the more interesting stories that broke out this year was Sony deciding that they weren't going to go to do the E3 thing this year.
I mentioned it. You got to know when to hold them, when to fold them. And
Yep.
like I said, Sony's in a very good spot right now. They're leading the console war of this generation.
Mm-hmm.
They're totally dominating, and they're just taking some time to rest, which you need to do after a heavy workout like that.
Yep.
And like I said, the next time we're going to see them, there's going to be at least a word, a video, like a demo, something. There's going to be something about the PS5. Maybe not a date, maybe not like the full console specs or anything. There's going to be something though.
Yeah. And another big story, and this is something that I think you mentioned when we talked about The Last of Us. You're like, fucking Naughty Dog, they're just going to fucking spring on. It's like, blah, it's going to be out in 3 months, right? Now, Naughty Dog didn't do that. However,
NetherRealm did.
NetherRealm Studios did that with Mortal Kombat. That's a big story because I've never seen that. Your strategy that you mentioned on this show, I've never seen that before. And when you mentioned it, I'm like, nobody would do that. No major.
And then NetherRealm came out. They're like 4 months.
And not only did it happen, but it happened for one of the studios I follow close. Like, I feel like that guy who's like been betrayed by his friends. Like now I don't know if I can trust them ever again. Kind of.
Ed Boon, man, you can never trust Ed Boon.
Definitely, he's the troll because I think you and I we try to sort him into a house. I'm like he's the fucking troll in the dungeon. But that's besides the point.
The dungeon.
Exactly, but yeah, man, that's one of the more interesting, unique things that kind of happened this year as well was that MK11 announcement springing on us.
I'm going to get into it next week. We spoke briefly. I have a full roster list that I'd like to see now that we kind of have the update and the trailer. And I took some time to sit down with this, and I want to run an updated roster. I know we've done this probably 100 times now.
Well, we've done the roster that was leaked, which ended up being false.
We've done, that was the most recent one. And then before that, we did a wish list. I think we did 2 wish lists.
Yeah, it was only like 10 people on that, though, like as far as people we really wanted.
But I have a 24-character roster with 1 DLC pack ready to talk about, and I'm going to run it past you next week. I'm going to leave this episode to be pure.
Yeah.
But we're excited for that. NetherRealm Studio got that huge cock spirit, and
they're
bringing the heat, really.
Yes.
They really are, and I'm excited. I know there's a whole bunch of speculation. There's some stuff I want to chat about.
Yep.
Especially with we'll get into
it next week on the podcast. But yeah, dude. So it's gonna be some good stuff. that's kind of that. I mean, I know they recently just announced Madbox. I don't know if you heard about that, but apparently it's like, ooh, the new console that's coming up, like the Soldier game or whatever. But that's something that came up this year too. That near the tail end of the year, they're gonna have this new fourth, competitor. In the ring. Yeah.
Like what they call it, the Ouija.
Oh yeah.
The Ouya.
Yeah. And whatever happened to the Steam Box? Is that the thing? Did the Steam Box?
The Steam Box is still a thing, but you can buy a NVIDIA Shield, which is a better version of it for slightly more, and you could stream to it, you could game on it, you could do a whole bunch of stuff. It's like a nice little mini PC for under $200.
My thing is like, wasn't that like the big? Like everybody was all concerned about it. Like it was such a big story when they announced it, but then it kind of
Steam is at a point where they have so much money where if they could literally take a massive hit like that and be like, okay,
whatever.
Yeah. It didn't work. The controller was garbage. The thing itself didn't play so well. But we are seeing advancements. Like if you have the Xbox Live Pass, whatever you have on your Xbox One, you could play on your PC.
Oh, that's cool.
I don't know how it quite works because I don't own an Xbox One, nor am I going to buy one at this point. But the PlayStation Pass kind of works in the same way.
Really?
You could. It's almost like streaming the game to your PC. And I haven't experienced it yet. I haven't fucked around with it.
That's the PlayStation TV thing, right?
No, not TV. It's the PS Pass.
No, I know, but I'm saying like, didn't they announce that like you'll be able to plug into your you'll be able to plug this little box into your PlayStation or into your computer, and you'll be able to kind of.
Yeah, like I said, no idea how it works, but for those PC fans out there that have enough money to pay for PlayStation Plus every year, you can stream the game now if it's like an exclusive.
Very cool.
Where were we? Oh yeah, gaming.
Yeah.
So
well, actually, that was it. That was the gaming talk of the year.
All right, let's get into the big fat meaty boy. Let's talk some music. Okay, so concert of the year. Let's start with you.
So I'm a little bit more limited. Obviously, I didn't go to as many shows. There's kind of a recurring trend on the show is that I didn't do as
less
much.
and less every year.
Yeah, every year it gets a little bit harder to go out to shows. Now, for me, I think the experience would have to be the Warped Tour. Tour 2018, end of an era. All that good stuff. It was a great show, and we had a good time. And every
Summers
year,
are going to feel empty now, man.
Yeah, man. It's definitely something because right about now is when we would start to get a little bit of the lineup. And granted, they do got this festival thing that they're going to be doing. Jury's out whether we'll be able to go to that or not. But I think that would probably be the best experience I had because it's the Warped Tour, and it's the last Warped Tour. And
what's that number 15, 16 for you?
I don't even know, dude. It's been so many. But yeah, man. It was a great time. And I've never had a bad experience at the Warped Tour. Ever. And I'm glad that this year didn't change that trend. And it went out on a high note, so to speak.
Hell yeah. We saw a bunch of great bands play.
Yep.
Some of the highlights, Ice Nine Kills, put on a great show. Chelsea Grin.
Chelsea Grin was good.
Good fun.
I like Dayseeker. Dayseeker was good to me.
Dayseeker was solid. I'm still kind of upset that they cut their set.
It wasn't their fault.
Yeah, I know. It wasn't their fault. Who else was there that was live and livid?
I liked Goblicon. I thought they were ridiculous.
Yeah, I told you, man. You enjoy them live.
They were ridiculous.
Are you guys angry? Do you want hate?
Every time I die, obviously rips it up every year.
Shreds. Yeah. Always kills it.
Always rips it up every year. There's a couple other bands here and there, but for the most part, that kind of covers kind of the big ones this year. Great year at the Warped Tour. That was my experience. Imagine yours will be different.
My concert of the year, to no secret, goes to the Season show. It was first and foremost, it was a trip. It was a bit of a haul out there. Buffalo is a great city. Thank you for having us. To the Season, I kind of group it with. Well, it's not a concert. It really is its own kind of being.
Festival.
Because, man, you walk around Buffalo, which we did, and I was like, man, I get it. I get why these guys are so angry all the time. Man, but Buffalo really has a personality of its own, and it was cool to, see Keith again. We had a little chat about his book. Oh, great guy.
Yeah.
But there's something special about To the Season. Maybe it's all the work and love they put into it. Maybe it's all the great fucking beers they had on tap. Maybe it was the wrestling beforehand that got everybody amped up for the first band, which was Vane. Maybe it was the ice skating. Maybe it was the curling.
You had everything.
You had everything.
A little bit of everything for everybody.
And it was great. And it was a fucking great experience.
Ooh, we actually missed something.
What did we miss?
Beer of the year. You put this on the agenda.
Beer of the year.
I actually have one
momentarily.
Huh?
We'll cover that momentarily.
Keep going. Sorry.
But To the Season was a phenomenal experience. And it was so great that, every time I got their day, December 15th.
Is that like a yearly thing, or is that just going to be this
I think
year?
It was December 15th, 2018.
Okay, that makes sense.
So that day is Every Time I Die Day.
Go down in infamy in the city of Buffalo.
Hey, man, what other band you know that has a day like that?
True.
Okay. And yeah, man, it was a great overall experience. Every time I killed it, Vane killed it, Knocked Loose killed it, Snapcase killed it. A lot of great bands, a lot of great energy coming up and just shredding. Mm-hmm. And that's a hell of a time.
I got you.
And it was so good that they're doing it for 2 days next year. It's going to be a Friday and a Saturday.
Very cool.
And I think I don't have to cover it anymore because I talked about it extensively, but that was my concert of the year.
Very, very cool. All right, so real quick before we move on to the next, let's do beer of the year.
Sure.
I'm sure you have one. I actually have one.
Let's talk yours.
Mine's kind of cheating because technically it was something that was hyped up during the year, but I didn't get to do it till after the year. The beer of the year this year is Revolution Brewery came out with a beer called Freedom of Press. It is a sour session beer. I have it in my fridge if you want to take a quick sip before you leave. It's delicious. It's a great beer.
Good copy.
Yeah, sour grapes, man.
Good copy.
It was very, very good. But yeah, so that's my beer of the year.
Mine is Cool Hair by Blue Nose. I've gotten 14 quarts this year. I know that because I get a quart every month.
Oh, wow.
Well, hang on. Let me revamp that. I've gotten 7 quarts because, 7 quarts this year. That's still a lot, man. That's
a lot of beer.
7 times 32. That's like 240 ounces ish.
Yeah.
Don't check me on my math. I'll be embarrassed.
No, that's right. I think that's right.
Yeah. 242 ounces of that stuff this year. So good.
It's a lot of alcohol, Gabe.
So good.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good experience, that whole Blue Nose Brewery thing.
Good stuff. Let's talk EP of the year.
All right.
So you originally wanted to separate these two, but it looks like you decided to separate them. Or
mm-hmm.
You wanted to merge them originally, but now we're having them separate. What is your EP of the year, sir?
2319, their demo is my, what's it called? My EP of the year. This is just a demo, so it's 4 pieces. It's a 4-track little demo. 2319. It's called Demo.
Cool.
So that's mine. We talked about them previously on the podcast. They just rip ass. So I like them a lot.
In the good way.
Yes, in the good way. If you're into that sort of thing. If not,
I'm waiting for when they drop a single called Experiment 626. I mentioned because that's Stitch's thing from Lilo and Stitch. So we'll see, man. Maybe that Disney themed metalcore will make a chug chug chug. We'll see. That's good though. You said they're local. They're like Carol Stream.
No. That's on the album. We're gonna have a conversation about that. 2319 is the band from Australia that I talked to.
Gotcha. The home ground, the forefront of the metal core scene.
Yes.
Because you thought Lancaster was bad. Nah. You thought Buffalo was bad. Nah. Australia.
Yeah.
Where they're so angry they consistently pump out some of the best metalcore bands in the scene.
For sure. And they were really nice to me on the Facebook. So shout out to you guys again. You guys did a great job. Appreciate it.
My EP of the year is from a band that I've been looking forward to them dropping something for quite some time, and I am looking forward to the next release. My EP of the year is Substance Abuse by Sycamore.
Ooh.
And it is a very sexy EP. I re-listened to it on the way here, and I was like, yep, this takes it. Granted, there's no screaming because they had some issues, and this EP kind of speaks about it, man.
Yep.
And I think, like I said, it's a very sexy EP. It's very catchy. It's got that slowed down kind of, you walk into a bar and there's like a neon sign illuminating kind of the bottles and stuff, and it's got that like almost like a cowboy kind of feel. Definitely check that out. Re-listen to it if you haven't in a while, and thank you, Sycamore, man. Thank you for consistently cranking out solid music since the day I found them.
Yep.
I think they dropped that Adele cover is when I found them.
Very cool.
Because they were on what was it, Pop versus Punk or some shit?
Punk does pop.
Something like that.
Yeah.
They were on one of those. And I was like, yeah, these guys are pretty tits.
Yeah, definitely. Now, as far as honorable mentions, kind of a local spotlight, so to speak. Still World, my buddy Dan's band. They had an EP come out called A New Beginning, and it was really well done. So that's a quick shout out to my boy doing a good job, who's also working on a little project for us, so to speak. But we'll get to that in another episode when I actually have it.
Good copy, sir.
But that's one. As far as another kind of local highlight, granted this wasn't EP, this was an album. Victims, Halfway Home. That was a fantastic fucking banger of an album. They did a great job. Did not make my album of the year list. It's not the band that you're thinking about. I have a surprise for you on my top 5. But yeah, man, I'm surprised you didn't mention Pressure Cracks. I'm surprised that didn't get you your number 1 spot.
This is my preferred Jason Aldean Butler project. I don't know, man. It would probably be my honorable mention since I don't have one right now. I feel like I listened to it for a couple weeks and then just kind of fell off.
Okay.
I might revisit it, but
That's
that Sycamore one, man, it's hard to ignore that one, you know?
Okay.
It was like a green thumb, whatever the fuck that means. But let's talk about our single of the year.
All right.
What's yours?
My single of the year, and this is including packaging, music video, and all, is "Thank God It's Friday" by Ice Nine Kills.
Good cap.
That is my single of the year because the video was well done. That girl's thicker than a Snicker, and it was just it was like a low, well, I was gonna say low budget. Friday the 13th, but all of them are low budget. Yeah, great song.
I think you hit it on the nail though. The whole ensemble, Ice Nine Kills is a very theatrical band.
Yes,
as we've stated. Thank God It's Friday is a fucking banger, man.
Yes,
and rips. I'm glad you picked that over. I don't know. I guess any of their other things. It is a banger. I do enjoy American Nightmare a bit more. I do like the chorusy, and I think it might be gravitating towards that because Nightmare on Elm Street.
You're biased.
Shit.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna admit. I ain't gonna lie. It's probably.
Well,
that.
I was gonna say Stabbing in the Dark, but I'm like, I can't. It's like lying to myself. I'm like, as far as like I said, the packaging and the way the single looked and the music video and all that.
And you're right. She is thicker than a Snicker. You gotta admit that.
Yeah, thicker than a Snicker, bro.
My man likes big butts, and
yeah,
you cannot lie.
You cannot lie.
Good stuff. Mine is a band you probably haven't heard of. Okay. My single of the year is a song called "Cultist" by a band called She Cries Wolf.
Oh, okay.
They do you know She Cries Wolf?
I do not.
This kind of came out of left field. This is on my recommended for you, and I was like, wow, this thing fucking bangs. This is like everything I'm looking for in a good it's that weird fusion between hardcore punk and metalcore. It's got that all three elements, and it's just in your face, and it's like, man, it's got all the good elements I like from Pressure Cracks. It's got all that intensity of an Every Time I Die song, but it still has that grimy the burn, 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 that sworn in kind of.
Yeah, I feel you.
Slow down, detune that shit, and crank it back up.
I feel you, man.
She Cries Wolf.
She Cries Wolf.
Song is Cultist. Check that shit out. I am excited for them. And this is a band you should definitely keep on your radar this year.
I will definitely check
Honorable
that
mention. Northern Fires by Silent Planet. This was when this is the single that got me absorbed into Silent Planet, and the single came out way before the fucking album. This was June, July that the single dropped, and I was bumping nothing but that for a couple straight weeks.
Very, very cool. Now, as far as mine, let me think real quick. There's one off the top of my head. What's it? Hold on, let me pull it up. I have it. Give me 1 sec. I'm sorry, guys.
Your runner-up.
Well, I got Fever 333 Burn It. I think that's a good single. They did a great job with that. But I did have a particular one by my hero, Mike Shinoda, that I wanted to mention. I forget the name of the song. That escapes me at the moment. My bad. Crossing a Line. That's what it was.
Would you say that it escapes the Jake?
Yeah, man. Oh, wow, that was good, man. You should be proud of yourself with that one. Yeah, Crossing the Line by Mike Shinoda. I think it's a beautiful,
good copy.
Beautiful
looking forward to works by both of them this year because Fever's album is coming out in 10 days.
Ooh.
10 days, 12 days, something like that. So that's going to be probably one of the first albums we review.
Yeah.
Unless somebody out of left field comes out swinging again. So stay tuned for that review. Mike Shinoda, man's always busy.
Yeah.
He's always working on something. He's touring or in the studio.
Yes, sir.
So expect the tour. And expect probably another EP, if not a full length, by the end of the year.
I wouldn't surprise me if he had another EP out by the end of the year.
Good
Definitely.
copy.
Definitely. So those were the singles of the year.
And now on to the big one.
All right. So let me pull up this list real quick. So I think it's fair to say that between the both of us, that it's an obvious number one. We know what the number one is, right?
By a landslide.
Yeah, so we're not going to cover that because we had a whole episode dedicated to it.
To Silent Planet. Thank you, Garrett.
Yep, Silent Planet, When the End Began. Beautiful album, absolutely fantastic. Like I said, we had a whole episode of talking about it. So let's talk about the other ones that made the list.
You want to go bottom up or top up?
Bottom up.
Bottom up. Number 5, Fit for a King, Dark Skies.
Okay.
Bit of a short album. It's Fit for a King-ish, but it does cover kind of all the aspects that you could fit into a metalcore song.
Very cool.
And I mentioned it before. I'll mention it again. Ryan Kirby said they're covering a lot of different styles of metalcore, and you kind of laughed at it. But I listened to the album. I was like, dude, he was spot fucking on.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby Lynch left the band. You will be missed. Mm-hmm. My handsome little guitarist. But this album delivers, man. It was a bit on the shorter side, but I still think it's worthy of my number 5 spot because I do enjoy Fit for a King. This album was a banger. Yeah, that's all I got to say about it. My number 5 spot.
Now, I talked about this album. I'm going to surprise you that it's going to be this low, I'm sure. Architects, Holy Hell, number 5 on this list.
I didn't even think it would make your cut.
No, it's there. Now, I was batting around Post Traumatic by Mike Shinoda or Eminem's, who fell off the list as I came through reviewing it all. But yeah, we talked about it at length. Great album. They continue to be at a very comfortable cruising altitude, as you like to put it, and they're doing a good job. Architects.
Flying high, man.
Yeah, they never fail. They never
you may
fail.
unbuckle your seatbelts and go pee now.
Yes, sir. And that's the Architects. They did a great job.
Joke.
So yeah, no, I get it. I got it. Number 4.
My number 4. No surprise, a band I've been following since their birth. Chelsea Grin, Eternal Nightmare. Alex Kohler is gone, and it's sad to see him go because he was the last founding member of Chelsea Grin in the band.
Yep.
And he got replaced by Tom Limbarsas, one of the former vocalists of Lorna Shore.
Mm-hmm.
This thing bangs through and through. We did a review on it, but I think this is kind of a two-parter because not only is this album really good, but it sets up Lorna Shore fucking well. They dropped a single on Friday that I fucking love, and Lorna Shore is a super experimental like deathcore band, and their new screamer is great. So I think not only did that move make Chelsea Grin even heavier and thicker and thicklier, it sets up Lorna Shore for a very good spot. And this Lorna Shore, their 2019 album is one of my anticipated, easily up there. And I think, like I said, it's twofold, man. This is like one of the better sides of Chelsea Grin that I've seen in a very long time, but it also sets up Lorna Shore. Twofold, double-edged sword. Number 4, Chelsea Grin Tournament.
That actually cracks my top 10. Didn't make it quite into the 5, but
that's fair, man. I like that gritty.
Yeah,
that grit.
Moving on for me, number 4. Under Oath, Erase Me is number 4 on this list. Now I know we talked about it at length when it came out, but just a little bit of a recap.
On ya?
Yeah,
like assist.
Yeah, a little bit of a recap on it. It's a extremely well written, well done album. Under Oath is growing up. They're not going to stay the same kind of band they were when they did Define the Great Line or etc. But I think it's pushing their music in a different direction, something that's interesting and something that fits them now, who they are as a whole. And not to say that they will totally forget that kind of that older stuff, because there is some songs in there that are like, yeah, fucking rips.
Disambiguation feel.
Yeah, definitely. There's some good shit in there. And Under Oath did not disappoint me with this album. Like
good
you said,
copy, sir.
Kind of grew on me over time and got better after repeated listens and stuff like that.
Good copy. I'm glad you came to terms with that album because I know we had some opinions on it when it came out. Number 3 for me, Dance Gavin Dance, Artificial Selection.
Okay, so it's still down the list. Okay.
Yeah, it's still on the list. It was my number 1 for a little bit there.
Yeah.
And it's still deserving of high praise. All the songs are bangers. I love that they bring back Johnny Craig for one of the songs. Tillian is my favorite Dance Gavin Dance clean vocalist.
Okay.
I think his voice is just so unique and he has such a wide range. And when you hear it, man, you know it's Tillian. You're like, fuck, it's like iconic.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not quite iconic yet, but it's getting there.
Yeah.
I think every single song on this album is very delicately crafted. Because Dance Gavin Dance always kind of pushed the envelope of experimental, whatever the fuck you want to add to the end of that. You could put metalcore, you could put rap, you could put, well, maybe not rap, you could put like experimental soul funk jazz, and it'll work. Because it's Dance fucking Gavin Dance.
Yeah.
They do whatever the fuck they want. Story of My Bros, banger. Evaporate, which is the closing track off that song, I think is probably one of the best closing tracks I've heard this year. And it's kind of a wrap up of everything that Dance Gavin Dance has been and that they are now. And I don't know, man. I just love it. There's a lot of great tracks off it, and that's kind of all I got to say. If you've listened to it, you know where I'm coming from. And I'm glad to see them come up and bring the heat, because, you think after a while you'd run out of experiments, but clearly not.
Yeah, indeed. So that's Gabe's number 3. My number 3 is The Plot and You, Dispose.
Nice.
Yeah, man. This came out early last year, early last year.
February 2018.
Yeah, it came out early last year, and me and Gabe were like, that's a very early contender.
And it held the spot
until
June, July.
Yeah, it fluctuated a little bit up and down the list, but I've settled on number 3. I think that has a fair place for it. It is a well-written album. I think it puts The Plot and You kind of in a different spot, because they took their genre and kind of tweaked it and modified it to kind of fit more what they wanted to do. It's still in the ballpark of metalcore or whatever, but there's definitely a lot of experimentation to this album, and I think they did a great job. And this is just a well-written album. I think they should be proud of what they're doing.
Gotcha. My number 2 is also The Plot and You, Dispose.
That's my number 3.
Gotcha. Well, that's my number 2.
Yeah. Okay.
Working off what you said, Landon Tours did a great fucking job on the vocals and the production, because he's very meticulous.
Yes, he is.
He's one of those guys where it's kind of his project in the long run. But man, you hit it out of the ballpark. This thing takes a step back, and it kind of looked almost towards like the Sempiternal days of Bring Me the Horizon. And said, let's make this big, let's make it atmospheric and kind of orchestral in a sense.
Yes.
Where it has a big. This album is phenomenal to listen to on a full sound stage or something like really good headphones, because there's a lot of stuff in there. There's a lot of little fizzles, cracks, and like psst and shit that you wouldn't normally catch.
Yeah.
And this thing takes a step back And my girlfriend's comment was great. She's like, man, this guy he either has really shitty luck with girls or he picks all the wrong fucking girls. Because, some of those like lyrics, like peasant pussies ain't got time for this shit.
Yeah.
Or something like that. It's really well written. I think it's clever, his writing. And they said metalcore is they're all right at it. They didn't stand out.
Yeah.
But with this move forward, it's still in the ballpark of metalcore. It's still kind of out there and stuff. And I'm sure a lot of these old fans were disappointed. But I think that this is a good evolutionary step into the Plot and You. And they've kind of separated themselves from the pack.
I think you hit it on the head when you said they were all right at it and they kind of just fit in with the pack. And
they were, you mentioned it that when we were doing Bangers of the Week, we had to filter through a lot of stuff. They were one of the bands that would have probably been filtered if they stayed on that.
Yeah, definitely.
They would have had like a killer track and then it's like, I forgot you guys were
moving on. Yeah.
But this album, like I said, man, it was almost a phenomenon how long it held our number one spots for, because it was like February to like it didn't get bumped off my number one till like June or July when the Ghost came out.
We talked about remember how I said August Burns Red kind of took over that one spot that one year, last year 2017.
Yeah.
I think August Burn Red held that spot because it came out so late in the year. And I think if we had came out earlier, that we would have got lost in the sauce, so to speak. This band is the inverse of that. This one we were kind of shocked as the year went on. We're like, okay,
and it kind of goes to show because it's my number 2 and it's your number 3.
Yeah,
and this was almost released a full ass year ago. We're a couple weeks from a full ass year of the Plot and You, and I still hold it in high regard. I still love listening to it.
All right, ready for the surprise that I got for you?
Let's hear your number 2.
All right, number 2 is a something that I like I said mentioned in passing, probably like in April. Is a band that's within the local scene themselves, and at the end of the year, as we got closer, it made it. One of the songs came up in my shuffle, and I'm like, that fucking ripped. Let me go back and listen to everything, and this late push has sprung it up to the number 2. Glass Hands Dive is number 2 on this. Or I'm sorry, Glass Hands is Dive is number 2 on.
They're an Indiana band, right?
Yes, they are.
I know one of the guys in there.
Yeah, they've actually played shows with bands that I've played shows with in the past.
Very cool.
That's how local they are. Now, if you haven't listened to this album in full, I recommend it because it is a surprisingly well-crafted, well-written, well-produced album from a band that's down the street, so to speak. And there's a lot of dynamic kind of instrumentation. It's still within the ballpark of metalcore, right? It's very good. I don't know if it's going to break any ground as far as that, but I'm stunned and shocked by how well it is composed for a band, like I said, that is down the street. So that's why they make my number 2 spot, because it shocked me on how good this shit is.
It was kind of going back to Subnautica, man. Like, you expect good stuff from the greats, but sometimes it's the small things out of left field that take you by surprise.
That's why I smiled when you said that, because it totally fits this band as a whole. And I haven't talked to them yet, but I will be like, hey, you guys, basically what I did with 2319, like, hey, you guys shit rips, man, check out the podcast because we just talked about you guys extensively. Like I said, I mentioned it when it came up because it was in my certified bangers of the week. And like I said, after further review, it makes the top 5 and number 2.
Congratulations, Glass Hands, Indiana.
Yeah, definitely. It would have been very hard for anything to come close as far as beating Silent Planet.
That's kind of a given. But the fact that they beat the Plot and You, which is an album that we hold in very high regard.
As you just, we wax poetic on that. I think it has, like you said, I think it has a lot to do with the surprise aspect,
Yeah, and I'm excited.
Think about this. A local band beat Under Oath on my top 5 albums of the year. Think about that.
Absolutely insane. I don't think that's too far-fetched because I have some beef. But, dude, congratulations. And I want to kind of close out with a couple words with Silent Planet because they did hit our number 1. We do have a full review, but I think Silent Planet, they've been a band for roughly 5 years. They kind of, man, there's a lot of good talent in that band.
Yeah.
There's a lot of heart into what they do, and they may not be your typical metalcore, poeticcore, spoken word band. They're not being as Notion. They're not the Architects, but there's something in between, and I think there's something special about this band. They won with the White Album that I can't fucking ever remember the name of.
Everything is Sound.
Everything is Sound. With Everything is Sound, they won the Underground Band of, what was 2015, 2016, something like that. And that was the moment I kind of looked at you and I was like, these guys are going to be something big. And with this album, they're still not topping charts. They're not like dominating tours or anything like that. But they will only grow with time. And I'm happy to be part of the same scene that these guys are in. I'm happy this album made a big impact on my life the way it did.
I think it's an interesting kind of look because I looked at a lot of end of year lists, and we are not the only one that put this at the top.
I think State of the Scene, their number one was when the end began as well.
Yeah, I think so too. And I saw a bunch of people like from the locals, because I think they even asked, Silent Planet asked on Twitter, hey, who's got the end of the years? Let us know what you got at top. And a lot of these guys, I don't know if they were just talking shit or like trying to like suck up to them, but a lot of these people put them at the top, and a lot of people didn't. So it's kind of that, it's up there for everybody, at least in some way or shape or form.
It's in your at least top 10, man, if you're in the scene like that.
And there was a guy at work who was talking about the new Slipknot song. I'm like, it's all right. But I'm like, if you want to fucking have your fucking doors blown off, I'm like, put on When the End Began by Silent Planet.
Yeah, man. Pick any track off there and it'll blow you in one way or another.
Definitely.
And I think there's a lot to be said about a band like this, because some bands are in it for the money.
Yeah.
Garrett had a very... Well, I can't speak for him, but I can assume it was a very good lifestyle beforehand.
Yeah.
He was a psychologist, this and that, and he kind of gave all that up, and he pursued his dream. And he kind of joked about it on Twitter. He's like, yeah, Silent Planet began 5 years ago, so it's been 5 years since I was homeless,
Mm-hmm.
And I think, it was a kind of funny joke, but it kind of puts into perspective that they want to do this. Yeah. This isn't for the money. This isn't for the fame. This is something that they all want to do and that they're all committed to.
Uh-huh.
And I think it shows in this album. And again, thank you, everybody in Silent Planet, for putting out, by a landslide, my album of the year.
Mm-hmm. And
I'm looking forward to everything to come with Silent Planet, because it's only going to go uphill.
Definitely. Now, as far as like any honorable mention, I mentioned Post Traumatic by Mike Shinoda was close to making this list. I mentioned Chelsea Grin was very close to making this list.
How far were they? Just out of curiosity.
They were like
7, 8?
No, yeah, like 7, 8. They were very close to making this list. Eminem Kamikaze was close to making this list.
That's probably your number 6, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
definitely close. Ice Nine Kills. I mean, granted, it was a little underwhelming, but they were close to making this list just because of the theming of it all. Yeah, man, it was a good year for music this year, and I think we look forward to 2019 to be even better than that.
Oh yeah, we did our anticipated albums and all that good stuff.
Yep.
And like I said, man, the most exciting part is just finding a band that you never heard of and hearing them tear that shit up.
Yeah, definitely. So those are the albums officially. 2018 is officially in the books as far as this podcast goes. We look forward to the many, many weeks of content that we're going to have for you going into 2019. I got some things things in the works as far as like kind of the development of the show.
I've actually, I haven't mentioned it yet. I have a new game in the works, a pretty simple one, but we're going to bring it back, and I think it'll fit in well with some of the topics I got for next week.
Okay.
That being said, let's bring back Certified Bangers, and let's get the structure back in the structure that is the Second City Kids podcast.
Yeah, definitely. We had fun with the games this year. It's definitely threw some spice into the show as far as
and bring back something you enjoyed.
Yeah,
because I got a new one in the works.
Okay, copy that. And we're looking to try to bring in more fun content to the game, because I know a lot of people
guest people, and yeah, man, we got some good stuff coming your way.
Yeah, man, I got some equipment that I want us to take a look at as far as being able to pull off like phone interviews and shit like
Copy that. On trip to Guitar Center.
Yeah, but yeah, man, that's the year in review. Do you have any like, I don't know, any like lowlights or headlines that you want to talk about?
Lowlights or headlines, man? Yeah. I think with every year there's going to be low points. And, you kind of hit it on the head that we've seen some family members pass this year, which is unfortunate. But I think the more we grow old, the more we realize that sometimes, maybe step back and enjoy what you have right now.
Mm-hmm. I feel you.
And I think that year brought a lot of this. Like I said, your daughter turned 1, and I feel like she was just born a couple weeks ago. It's crazy. And there's a lot of growth that's happened this year, both in a good way and a bad way.
This podcast has fucking grown exponentially in the last couple of months.
I think we covered, like I said, man, we went from like 50-ish to 100 in this year alone.
Yeah.
And I think that as time passing, there should always be this common ground of growth and prosperity. Mm-hmm. And that's what we should look forward to, man, because any year is gonna punch you in the gut and it's gonna spit on you when you're down.
Yeah.
But also in the same time, it's gonna be the year where you're on top of the crowd and you're just shredding. You're feeling like Jordan Buckley at Warped Tour or some shit.
I feel you.
But we got to take it for what it is, and we got to keep pushing, and we got to keep reviewing.
Yep.
And so hopefully this year we'll top 2019.
Yeah, it'd be very hard because I think in retrospect it's probably one of the greatest years we've had as a whole as a podcast as far as
movies,
content,
music.
Yeah,
yep.
Not even that. As far as content, as far as audience growth, as far as kind of getting
and consistency.
The consistency is a big one. It's one of the best years we've had, and I'm glad that episode 100 is this year in review.
Couldn't line up lined up any better.
Yeah, because I'm like, I looked at the calendar a couple weeks ago. I'm like, oh, that worked out beautifully, actually.
Very cool.
Yeah, but I think that's it. I mean, we're about an hour 15 in. Not as long as I thought it was going to be. I thought we were going to wax poetic for a minute.
2 hours, right?
Yeah, I thought. But I'm glad because one of my major headlines this year, when we go into this, is the Bears fucking making a playoff push. God damn it!
And there you go, bro. We got that kickoff soon.
Yeah, we gotta have that kickoff probably about
an hour,
2 hours.
2 hours. Good copy.
I had to make my chili. I had to make chili.
Oh
today.
man, I bought a pressure cooker the other day.
Ooh,
I'm excited, man.
Pressure cooker.
Yeah, I'm
what are your
going
plans
on
with
a
that?
diet.
What's your plans with that? Like, what are you gonna do with it?
I'm gonna make some meals and keep all the nutritional values. Like I said, I'm going on a diet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not calling it a New Year's resolution because that's kind of cheating and it's not authentic.
It's a new. Are you saying that it's a new year and it's a new Gabe?
No.
same asshole that you were last year.
Same asshole, just slightly thinner. Hopefully, in a couple months. That's the plan. I mean, you've seen me. I've gotten kind of chubby.
I'm not gonna say that.
Look
at me for crying out loud.
But hey, man, live the life you want to live, and I just want to lose some pounds, maybe get a little healthier, get back to the gym, pump some iron.
Yeah.
And bump some Chelsea grin.
Yeah. As far as me, like kind of personal kind of growth things I want to work on. Well, I want to keep working at this podcast. I want to get better as far as editing it and all that good stuff. Kind of get some new equipment up in this joint. Maybe a new computer. Maybe that's something we could add to the list as far as like things to get
give
done.
me your budget and we'll find you some parts.
Yeah, that's probably something that we'll work on. Obviously, continue to be a good dad because I feel like I'm a pretty good dad.
Yeah, man.
Good husband, working hard at my job, all that type of good stuff.
Good stuff.
Keep the year trucking along.
One kind of end of the year highlight. Well, actually, no, it's not end of the year. It's the beginning of this year. That Wendy's roast, man.
Oh, my God.
How do they know so much about metalcore?
Well, my thing is like, do they just pop shit in the Google machine and hope for the best?
No, I'm telling you, it's probably an army of like 5 or 10 people.
Yeah.
And they probably have,
somebody.
you got to have at least 1 or 2 guys in there that are like, yeah, I know Silent Planet. They're an Under Oath cover band.
Yeah. It was pretty good.
The Beartooth one, man.
The Beartooth one had me fucking on
Knocked
the floor.
it out of the fucking park. That Franz one was great too.
Yeah. There's some good stuff. Man,
the Knock Loose one was phenomenal.
The Wendy's is doing a good job over there.
Thank you, Wendy's, for providing us some good ha-has in the metalcore community.
Early year ha-has, as we speak. But with that, man, I think that wraps up the show, man. How you feeling?
Feeling good.
Yeah. We're going to be, like 2019 is going to be a good year for us, I have a feeling. So with that being said, for the 100th time, we are wrapping up this episode of the Second City Kids podcast. You can go ahead and like us on all the stuff that we're on. iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher Radio, Podbean, Spotify, all that good stuff. You can go ahead and follow us on Twitter. Me and Gabe are on there. I'm going to try to be a little bit more active this year. Going to try. No promises, though. But with that being said, until then, again for the 100th time, because I'm pretty sure this is carried on.
Don't say 100th. That's a trigger word for me.
100th. Oh, yeah, sorry. For the 100th time, I think this has been my sign out the whole entire time. Until next time. Deuces.